So you really want to become a programmer, but you don't really know where to start or where to begin. Well, I'm here to tell you, don't become a programmer. If you're still watching this video, then good job. That means you have proven to yourself that you really want to become a software engineer or a programmer. So what did I say, don't become a programmer? Well, that's not exactly what I'm trying to say. Obviously, you can become a programmer. Everyone can become a programmer. In fact, I encourage almost everyone, or at least a lot of people, to become a programmer. What I want you to become is a creator, an innovator. I don't want you to become just the typical programmer, because the whole point of becoming a programmer is to help and solve problems. We are not just what they call the programmer or the coder. We are problem solvers. So if you're going to learn how to code because the pay is good or the compensations are good, I mean, it's part of it. Once you become a programmer, you'll have a good pay, you'll have a good compensation. What I'm trying to say is, if you like coding or if you want to learn how to code, you have to love coding. You have to be passionate about it. You have to like writing codes. Otherwise, if you don't like coding, you'll just fail. And I don't want you to become a failure. Who likes to be a failure? That's what I learned from my previous mistakes. Doing something that you don't like will just lead you to regrets and miseries. I have this quote that I really love and enjoy, and that is, relationship is like GitHub. You gotta commit. So learning codes, learning how to code, it's like GitHub. You have to commit as well. Now, if you're still watching this video with a mindset of, I want to become a programmer because I want to, and I'd love to help and create something good, then congratulations, you have passed my second test and you have a high chance of becoming a programmer. No, seriously. So in this video, we're going to talk about 3 best programming languages that you can learn as a beginner. But in this video, I'm not just going to tell you to pick this or that programming language, because to be honest with you, there are no best programming languages out there. They're just all the same. They're codes. Instead, if you're going to pick a programming language, I want you to consider the following. First, how knowledgeable are you when it comes to programming? Is this your first time, or you know exactly, or you know a bit of programming? And second, what do you want to build? You want to build a machine, a web application, or a software? And third is, if you want to learn programming, what do you want to do after that? You want to work for big tech companies, or you want to learn programming for your own because you just want to create something cool? So in this video, I'm going to mention all of the programming languages that you can learn, and then we're going to ask ourselves, what is this programming language going to do for us? Is the programming language going to help me create something like a machine, a web application? Is it easy to learn? Is it going to help me get a job from Facebook, Google, or Twitter? So the first programming language is Python. Python is one of the most commonly used programming languages today, and it's mainly learned first by beginners. And the reason for that is that Python is very easy to understand and read. And once you get the gist of it, it's much easier to switch and move to another programming language. So if you're a beginner, yes, Python is your best option. Now, if you're interested to learn how to create machine learning applications, then Python is your best option as well, because most machine learning applications are written using Python. Now, if you want to work for big tech companies like Google, then you might have an advantage, because most interviews of big tech companies, they're using Python. But of course, that's not always the case. They will still depend on your resume, or they will still ask you what programming language you're comfortable with. So if you want to use PHP, then they will ask you to use that. Speaking of PHP, the second programming language that you can learn is PHP, and I'm not gonna lie to you, this is the second programming language that I learned when I was young, and that's the reason why I put this in number 2. And I gotta say, this is honestly very easy to learn in my experience. Now, the reason why I learned PHP is that back then I was working with Adobe Flash, or I was learning about action scripts. If you know that, there's this like Facebook games back then, like Farmville, Pet Society, Restaurant City, all those games. Back then, I was learning how to create my own Flash games. So I had to learn how to create login systems. I had to use PHP for that. PHP as my back end, and then Flash as my front end. And then I had to use database, which is MySQL. So I use MySQL for my database, and then PHP for my backend, and then Flash for my front end. So anyway, that being said, for me, PHP is just very easy to learn. But one thing I have to say about PHP is that PHP is very sensitive. Like, you have to put curly braces for your functions, for your statements. You have to put semicolons for your lines, for your codes, and you also have to put dollar symbols for your variables. Unlike Python, you don't have to do that. You just need to write your codes and you're pretty much good to go. But it doesn't mean PHP is not good. PHP is a really good programming language, especially for creating web applications. So mastering or learning how to code using PHP, you will benefit a lot from it. Now, if you learn PHP, that's not going to help you get a job from big tech companies. Maybe yes, maybe no, because from what I heard, big tech companies, especially right now, they are using Python and JavaScript. And that gives us the next programming language that you can learn, JavaScript. JavaScript is currently one of the most commonly used programming language by big tech companies like Facebook. So if you want to work for Facebook and become the next tech lead, #millionaire, then you might want to try and learn JavaScript, specifically React. But is JavaScript easy to learn? I want to say yes, but in my own experience, I found it really hard and overwhelming. Maybe because I'm just really used to vanilla PHP or core PHP. But I'm not saying everyone will find it hard to learn. In my own experience, I found it hard, but if you're going to learn JavaScript and React, maybe you'll find it easy. So what can you do with JavaScript? JavaScript is mainly used for web application, for creating web applications. But you can also use JavaScript for creating machine learning applications. Now, by learning JavaScript, is that going to help you get a job from big tech companies? Yes, absolutely. But there's one thing to keep in mind. Big tech companies like Facebook, Google, Yahoo, Twitter, they don't really care about if you know PHP, if you know Python, if you know JavaScript. They more care about how good you are as a problem solver. So if getting a job from big tech companies is your whole plan, if that is the goal, then I highly recommend you learn Python first and then JavaScript. There's another programming language that you can try and learn, and that is Swift. But since I don't have any experience with that, I don't know how to code with Swift. I'll just embarrass myself if I talk about it. But I do know one thing. Swift is used for iOS development. So if you want to work for Apple, then you might want to learn Swift. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting the like button and subscribe for more programming related videos. And I just want to mention, if you want to learn how to create Shopify apps or Shopify themes, I have a course for that. I'll put the link in the video description below, or you can just click the I button right above me. So yeah, all right. I'll see you guys in the next video. Yeah? See ya? Yeah. Because the whole point of becoming a programmer is to help and create problems. Second, what do you want to build? Do you want to build a building application? Do you want to build a building? Otherwise, if you don't like coding, then you have a high chance of now becoming a programmer. And I don't want you to become a failure. And I don't want you to fail. So if you're going to learn how to code because the pay is good or the compensation are good, there are no best programming language out there. Yo, shut the